What's good, guys? Hope everyone's doing okay. Today's video is going to be on reaching your natural limit, and what I mean by that is natural bodybuilding, natural weight training, what you can realistically expect to get up to in weight, strength, all stuff like that. Because to be honest, guys, I may not be an expert, however, I have been weight training 4 or 5 times a week, even 6 times a week, for coming up to now 14 years. And over those 14 years, I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've certainly not done everything perfectly. However, I've learned from those mistakes. And in today's video, I'm going to go over what you can realistically expect after 14 years of working out. And of course, genetics do play an enormous role in this. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, and sometimes it's used as a bit of a cop-out excuse. But it is true, your genetics are going to play a massive role in how your body's going to look. However, there is a common occurrence, in my opinion, when it comes to natural training, in terms of when you start to max out, when you hit your limit, how much weight you can lift, how much you can weigh. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about all of that and what I personally have experienced myself. For anyone that's not come across my channel before, when I was a teenager, I only used to weigh 140 to 145 pound. I grew pretty quick. I was 6 foot tall, but I couldn't gain the weight. It wasn't until I was age 20, 3 months of working out, I finally started to gain weight. I got up to 168 pound pretty quick. And then throughout my 20s, I did get to 188 pound, which is about 13.5 stone. And I stayed at that up until I was about 28. It's only really in the last 5 or 6 years I've started to put on more and more weight, to the point now where I'm 205 pound. It wasn't until then, when I was about 28, was when the weight started coming on and I started getting towards that 200 pound mark. So I pretty much gained another stone. I went from being 13.5, give or take, to 14.5. And realistically, I know that's my genetic limit. I've been there for about 5 or 6 years, and I am coming up to 34 in October. And I'm honest with myself, I know that I'm unlikely to get heavier than that, put any more muscle on than that. I know that. So if you're someone who's going on a similar journey to myself, you'll know realistically that you're going to get to around the 200 pound mark. Of course, there are going to be exceptions, and everybody is different. However, I'd say for the vast majority of people, 200 pound is going to be realistically your genetic limit in terms of how much muscle you can realistically put on. Obviously, you can keep putting weight, putting fat on, and go past 200. However, I'm on about being 200 pounds and being in shape. And I think realistically, even people on the internet, people like Alex Leondez, he's only, I think, 180. The only person I've actually Kino Body, I think, is about 175. The only person I've ever seen that's weighed more than 200 pounds and been in shape was Conor Murphy. He was 6'2" and 210 pound. He's the only only natural bodybuilder I've ever seen weigh more than 200 pounds. And in person, I've never seen anybody weigh more than that and actually be in shape. So yeah, realistically, 200 pound is realistically the heaviest you're going to get to as a natural weightlifter. And when it comes to your strength, realistically, you are going to get gains pretty quick. On the bench press, I went from just the bar, 20 kg, and I got up to 80. I got up to 80 kg fairly quickly. In under a year, I got up to 80. However, that jump from 80 to 100 took a long time. That took nearly 2 years, going from 80 to 100. And what you'll find is once you get to 100, you tend to max out. Put it this way, I'm still only benching 100 now. So we're nearly 10 years on and I'm still just benching 100. I bench 100 for 10 to 15 reps and I can do 110 for 5 or 6. So as you can see, even in them 10 years, even now when this is the strongest I've ever been, the last 5 or 6 years, that's still my max limit. So if you look, and that does vary person to person, but what you'll find is on the bench press, 100 kilograms is the most you're going to be able to do for reps. When it comes to the barbell row, back exercises, around 120 kilograms, 100 to 120 kilograms, give or take. When it comes to your shoulders, the shoulder pressing, 35 kg dumbbells each side, you can realistically expect to lift. You can probably do 15s on the flying stuff, the lateral raises and the rear delt flies. However, with your legs, probably squat 100 kilograms you'll get up to. Once you go past that, yeah, you can do it, but it does hurt your lower back. So realistically, when it comes to your strength, those are the type of numbers you're going to be looking at. And in terms of how often you need to work out, in my opinion, 4 workouts a week is plenty. You certainly don't need to be in the gym every day 6 times a week. That's way overtraining and way overdoing it. 4 workouts a week is more than enough. And to be honest, guys, you could even get away with doing 2 or 3. There have been times I've only done 2 or 3 workouts a week, and you're still going to progress, you're still going to build muscle and look good. Your gains aren't going to vanish because you've gone less. You certainly don't need to be in the gym 6 times a week like I was back in my 20s. In my opinion, 4 workouts a week, the workouts lasting about an hour and a half, is more than good enough to keep progressing. What I'd also say is don't become obsessed with it. I had periods when it did become, a major part of my life, and I got too obsessed with it. You want to make weight training, bodybuilding a part of your life. Don't make it just your life. There's way more important things than just lifting weights.